All right, Joe. So you have a demon on your bed. So Greg said there was at least two more, right? So let's dive into those.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Joe's going to deal with another one, but one that happened to me was near the end of the project. I have like 9 external hard drives that I back up all of my projects and all of my life on. And I would do that pretty regularly in our sessions. And so I had gone on a trip after one of the first finals. I did a backup on all the drives, and I made some editing changes in the song, and I didn't know if we were going to keep those. And so I saved that on my desktop, and then I backed that, the other part, the non-change stuff, I backed all that up on all my other drives, right? And so then I left, and I came back on a Sunday, and I was excited to get back. Opened up the session, and I get an error saying missing 313 files, WAV files. Okay, so I was not panicking yet, but I said, wait, what's going on? And I'm troubleshooting first, and then I go, okay, well, let me go to another one of my backups. Same thing. Then I go to the one on the desktop where I'd done that edit that I didn't know if I was going to keep. Same thing. Now I'm starting to panic because I kind of already know in the back of my head all the other backups are going to be that way because I did all the backups with a single copy. I went and checked, and yeah, they were all corrupt or missing the waves. And then I keep one of these in my gun safe. That's my whole life in case the house burns down or something, you know. And so I backed it up on that too. I pulled it out, obviously, and checked. Same thing. Now I'm in panic, despair, terror mode because I'm thinking it's gone.
Yeah.
The mix, it's it. We're done. There's no more work on this song production-wise. The mix that I have, and we had a mix before I left. That's going to be it forever.
How did you feel about that? How did you both feel about that?
I just said it was terrifying, despair, bewilderment. How did it happen? Anger, loss, inadequacy to God. Oh God, Father, I failed you. I wed him, and then anger. Satan. Again, he's, you know, it's like, is he going to win now? He's finally going to win.
Right.
You know, it was hard, man. I spent 6 hours before I called Joe that Sunday. I had to go to work the next day. I spent all afternoon from like 12 till 6, 7 o'clock at night looking. So I go in and try to recover a Windows Restore Point. No, I didn't have it. I went and decided, okay, let me go buy some software. So I did a bunch of stuff, and I went and actually purchased software, file recovery software. I got some free versions. It found a lot of the files. Didn't work. So then I purchased software. Went and did that. Didn't work. Now I'm freaking out. That's when I call Joe and I say, this is not, you know, this is the phone call you don't want to make.
Right.
So then I'm experiencing all those thoughts, but it was unusual. I had one side of me that's the tech side. I'm like, okay, let me give you a couple things you can try. I'm like, we're going to call the software manufacturer. We're going to see if PreSonus, we're going to see if they have any recovery tools. Went there were a couple things, right? So I'm like, yeah, there's options still. There's options. And we were on the phone a while talking through stuff, But I'll tell you, I never had a point where I was freaking out about the situation. Wow. And by the end of the call, though, he was on the same page with me. If this is God's will, it's God's will. If this is it, this is it. It's God's will.
I'm fine.
It's in his hands. It's his project. It's been his since the beginning.
He's going to make it more glorious in
yeah.
its current version than we could have ever thought about doing it by making it better.
Right.
So we just were at peace with it.
Right. So why are we talking about this as the second example of undeniable, miraculous, supernatural?
That night, this is 2 or 3 days later after it happened, I discovered all that. I am, on the session, trying to look at some stuff, and then God talks to me and says, go look on that hard drive you have in your gun case again. And my first reaction was, I've already looked there.
Yeah.
He goes, I know. So I go open the case and I open it up, plug it in, and I look on there and I see the one that's bad. And what do I see? A folder right under that. It's an old mix, a session of the same song, because I always have dates on them, that was about 3 weeks old, that I didn't see before. When I deleted the actual sessions I had been all up until that 3 weeks ago, I'd left that there and never saw it. Even when I went back and did backups, I never saw it. It was right next to the other folder. It had the same name on it, except the date at the end of the naming criteria. So it's going to be in alphabetical chronological order in Windows in a folder hierarchy, right? Never saw it. The only one on 9 hard drives. Okay, that's not the unexplainable part. So I'm just beside myself. I grab that, throw it in the session track. Throw it in my drive to open it. It opens up. The session opens. All the WAV files are there. And I was just dancing around, praising God, called Joe,
Mm-hmm.
Now I knew it was 3 weeks of lost work. It was going to be potentially a bunch of work. And then I'm working and I go back and work on the stuff and start thinking, what happened? How did this happen? This has never happened to me before. I've done hundreds of mixes. I've never had this happen before with all my backups. I've never lost sessions like this, not once. So I have to go do some research and read about folder hierarchies and stuff and how Personas works on Studio One and doing this. And I find out there's this media folder, and that's where the waves are on all these other sessions. That's what was gone, was inside the session folder, a subfolder. This media folder, as I recall, was gone. So the question is, how does an interior subfolder disappear? You don't go inside that main folder and copy all those and select them in a group and copy and paste. No, you go and copy that main folder.
Right.
And everything inside that folder is going to be copied with it
Right.
when we paste it somewhere. That's what I did. So that's the supernatural. That's what happened. Somehow a subfolder went missing inexplicably. And I still right now, and so does Joe,
Bob.
we don't know.
Bob.
We have no idea still. It's unexplainable.
Both of us had reached the point with the project where we are tired. We've been working on this for a long time. We've put a lot of time and energy into it. And this was God forcefully refreshing and doing a reset. Because ultimately, we were now put back in the position where we had to rebuild some stuff. And we would have never done that by choice.
Well, what happened, I have to kind of expand on that a little bit, because there's a part in the song before all this happened where Joe wanted an arrangement change. It's right when Jesus is rebuking Satan. It's this
Right.
big climactic part with a choral and just, it's big, right? Very big and cinematic. And then it just immediately breaks down with this beautiful piano part.
Mm-hmm.
And then one line coming in. Back in Jesus is saying, he'll rise again because I rose for him. Joe said to him, to his ears, the end of the climactic part, and then this intimate part that comes in, the climactic part kind of stepped on this part a little too much. He wanted some more space in there to let the climax fade in, or out rather, and then the intimate part kind of fade in. And I listened. I said, let me listen. And I did, and I called it back. I said, okay, I think that's a good idea. I said, I don't know how much we need to add yet, 2 beats, a measure, I'll play with it. He says, okay, whatever. He says, I trust you. And I remember calling, I go, this is better.
Mm-hmm.
This is better than the first arrangement. the way I did it, the way I produced it.
Yeah.
And I called Joe and said that, and I sent it to him.
Mhm.
And he goes, man. He goes, yeah.
This
He
is
goes,
what I heard.
he goes, this is great.
Yeah.
This is beautiful, dude. And we look back on that saying, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
We were too tired. We were burnt out. And we think God knew that. He goes, y'all aren't going to do this on your own, but I want you to make my song better. But you know the way we thought he did it? Was he went in and deleted the media folder supernaturally and made us do this whole thing over?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know, but
Right.
it's just weird, man.
Through tragedy and adversity, he builds this, more beautiful version. Yeah.
To us, to close that story out, hey, if anyone out there wants to contact us and give us an explanation, I'm all ears, but we don't really understand that.
Right.
We think that was a pretty big supernatural event and unexplainable to our pea brains.
Yeah.